5,
This
first meeting of
conference
the
will
year.
now be recorded.
It'll be a really good year. Kelly, could you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Ayala,
Here.
Commissioner Hutchins,
Here.
Commissioner Cassidy,
Here.
Vice Mayor Cause,
Here.
and Mayor Pugh.
Here. Will you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. See the agenda before you. I believe Commissioner Cassidy, you want to add something?
Yeah, I'd just like to make some comments, commissioner comments.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, under the regular agenda, can we have a discussion on the AV RFP that was sent out this morning?
Okay. Do you want to move that from the consent agenda to the regular agenda?
The RFP isn't on the consent agenda,
Okay. When do you want to add that to?
as number 10, so just on a regular agenda.
All right. So you can just do it on your report.
Yeah, again.
All righty. Anything else? All right, is there a motion?
I move we present the budget, we approve the budget as amended.
Second.
Motion and second, any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Did
Motion
we amend
carries.
the budget or
No,
the agenda?
Approval of the agenda.
Thought I heard motion. Aye.
Presentation, all right, let's move on to the announcements. Kelly?
Okay, the meeting schedule for the next month is as follows. The regular town commission meeting will be on Monday, February 3rd, 2025 at 6 p.m. The community standards hearing will be tomorrow, January 7th, 2025. The planning and zoning meeting will be Tuesday, January 21st at 9 a.m. The Board of Adjustments meeting has been canceled, and all meetings are held in the commission chambers at the town hall. Town hall will be closed January 20th in observance of the Martin Luther King Jr. Day holiday. And any residents wish to sign up to receive important notifications and news through Civic Ready should just sign up on the town's website or call town hall for assistance.
Thank you. All right, public comment.
We're gonna talk about it.
Terry, I'm so surprised you're the first one.
Okay.
Were you surprised that I wasn't here last month?
I was,
Well, you know, the former commissioners group is a very exciting group of people. And Betty Bingham asked me for the December meeting to talk about the inlet. I know she mentioned something about it, and I wanted to be sure that I lived up to my commitment to her. So if you don't mind, I'll spend a couple minutes just reviewing everything real quickly.
go ahead.
The inlet was formed in 1917 for the sole purpose of flushing sewer from the Lake Worth Lagoon, what they known as the intercoastal. In 1925, they built a actual inlet. And then over the years, they had real serious problems of the inlet filling back up with sand. Remember that?
You got a picture of that?
Yeah. So they did more. And the town of Ocean Ridge by 1990 was really mad. And because they thought they were not getting the sand that they should get from the old pump transfer, the sand transfer pump. And they sued. They sued the old established South Lake Worth Inlet District, which we all paid a little bit of tax to maintain. Turns out the guy was keeping his records at his house and no one knew what was going on. Anyway, it went to court and the first level judge ruled in favor of Ocean Ridge, that they needed more sand transferred down to our beaches, which in front of the Inlet Plaza, the Ocean Club, and a couple of other places had that big, huge scoop. So went to appeal. Everybody in the world appealed. Manalapan, some private owners, Ocean Ridge, Boynton Beach. You can't imagine the list of the lawyers. Paul Nicoletti was our attorney at the time, and he did a good job initially.
Mhm.
But when it went to the appeals court said, you have no authority over the Inlet District. The only folks that have authority is the old Department of Natural Resources. And they are the ones all over the state that control all inlets, all waterways, all ocean offshore operations. So they killed that benefit to Ocean Ridge at that time and changed the department to the Department of Environmental Protection. And they did some really great things by extending the jetties, putting in a new pump, which was a diesel engine pump, you remember.
Yep.
And they put in an electric pump. They wanted to put in a bigger electric pump, but they couldn't afford it. Anyway, now it's monitored exclusively by Palm Beach County with a permit from DEP. And there's some things that they're responsible to do. One is to monitor the flow of the sand and the water back and forth on both sides of the inlet. And Betty mentioned that she thought that Manalapan was stealing sand that belonged to us, but that's not the case. And then they need to do the sand bypass by using the pump. And then be sure that all of the equipment and sediment that's being taken out is the right quality. So it's a big technical process. I recommend anyone who wants to read the 2022 report just issued from the Department of Environmental Protection, which is right on the website, explaining all of the things that they have to do. It's pretty technical stuff. So no one's stealing anybody's stand. It's just the way, unfortunately, that Manalapan is above us, and they get the benefit of the sand backing up. And there's also another report done by Lee Ann Welch, who used to work for the county, which is also available on the county website. But she's now the executive director down at Gumbo Limbo Nature Center. Anyway, it's interesting stuff to read if you're a nerd, you know?
Thank you, Terry. Anyone else for the comment? Come on, Betty.
Betty Beaton, 187 Avenue. All what Terry said is absolutely true, but they've increased that hook twice. And they could make Manalapan twice as big and make us twice as small. They were supposed to pump X amount of sand, and did we have any input into the increasing the length of the hook, which is what is backing the sand up and make them for the first time to be able to build houses on the east side of A1A.
Thank you, Betty.
I think we ought to sue.
Anyone else for public comment? No one? All right. Close public comment, bring it back to the commission. Approval for the consent agenda. Oh, I'm sorry. We do have a sad day. One of our former vice mayor and commissioners, Lynn Allison's husband died, Harvey Love. And let's take maybe a minute of silence for the man and Lynn, and respect for Lynn. Thank you. Lynn was one of the first female commissioners too, besides Betty and Gail Asco. Yeah. All right, let's move on to the approval of the consent agenda. Oh, sorry. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I move that we approve the consent agenda.
I second that.
We forgot to add the budget amendments and the finance reports to the consent agenda. So if we can have the motion amended to add those two.
Carolyn would like to amend your motion.
Yes, I move that we add the budget amendment and the finance report to the consent agenda.
I'll second that.
All right, motion second. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries. All right, moving on to the regular agenda items, the update on the water main project with our esteemed engineer, Lisa Tropet.
And I will make this brief. Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and Commission. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
I have great news to report. The project in construction is complete. We were really trying hard before the holiday to make sure that we decommissioned the old line and put everybody on the new line without disrupting anybody's service. We did not have anybody on a boil water. We managed to disconnect the pipes on the west side that were feeding the east side. We switched the pipes from the old cast iron pipe to the new pipe on the east side. And so we fixed the road, and probably most of the folks in town don't even know that the project existed. There was no disruption with any of the residents, both on the east and the west side. And so we are still following your directive. We have not received a pay application yet for the end of this project because we are closing out the project with, we have to close out its paperwork with Boynton Beach Fire, Boynton Beach Utilities, the Health Department, and DOT. So I just want to say that we are so blessed that we had such a great contractor that was on the ball, that fixed things, that when they broke quickly, that we got the job done ahead of schedule, so that none of the residents were in any kind of level of service issues whatsoever before the holiday. So I just wanted to report that to all of you. And I gave you an updated water main plan, the comp plan, because we keep getting more and more information from Boynton Beach, and as we get more information, I start putting that on the plan. And so there are 3 subaqueous crossings, water main crossings. Those are just added on to that plan. When we get the rest of the paperwork for the water main, we will switch out the pipe type on this plan in the green phase 1 area. So that was added on here on this chart so that you could see the actual cost for phase 1. And then phases 2 through 8 is the same as it was before.
Is there any change in the budget numbers?
No.
Based on the
We
completion?
didn't change anything.
Should we add number of residents served into these different categories, phase 1 through 8, just so we're aware of what has a big impact and what has a small impact? Or do you have that information?
We could, but the system is somewhat looped, so I don't know, there's definitely redundancy. So we could say an estimated amount of residents. Carolyn will explain what we've been going through with the lobbyists, so that they've been kind of directing us in a different way, to focus more on phase 3 than phase 2. So she can explain that, because it does have a lot to do with how many residents are served.
So
That's all I
but going forward though, we know that the hardest part of putting this water line is along A1A, not down
Yes.
the streets, correct?
Absolutely. We did Hudson many years ago, it was not a problem.
Right, and we did Bullbright many, many years before
Yeah,
that.
right.
But, so if we think of that, and we did 3,700 linear feet of line down A1A, and it cost us approximately 3 million and change.
Mhm.
So we should, as commissioners, realize that going forward, anything along A1A is going to be around $825, something like that a
That's
foot. So,
I
and
get
that's worst case scenario.
$783 a foot,
What's that?
$783 a foot.
815 and change. But you got to add, there's stuff on there that does not add
I
on.
just took the 2,910,000.
That's not the total work.
Yeah, you have to add the engineering legal admin of 90 and
So that's not
the
the total
surveying.
number?
No.
No,
No.
That's the construction cost.
that's a construction cost.
Okay.
There's.
All
So
three, it's all
anyway,
3 columns.
So my point is that
Right.
going forward, we know along A1A, we don't, because we got hit with that extra charge because of the valves and everything else. Worst case scenario, $850 a foot. So as commissioners, we know that is the real number that would cost us if we ran into all the problems we ran into this time, the large amount of asphalt, the valve problem.
Right.
We ran
Exactly.
into every single problem we could possibly imagine.
We had to go, they had to go down 6 feet, which was not anticipated.
Right.
So all those connections
Right,
added
exactly.
more cost.
But the lines going down the road should be half.
Down our
60,
roads, we won't
60%.
have the cost, the crazy cost from the DOT.
Right.
I mean, we'll have some road costs, but we would control it. We couldn't control the DOT.
Okay,
If
so
you
that's,
drive down the north end of town, you have a brand new road in the north end of town.
all right, but I'm just saying that it gives us an idea
Yeah,
when
of
we're
what-
doing the structuring this
Sure.
budget, it gives us an idea of what we're structuring for
Yes.
and what we can spend and how much money we have in reserves and how much money we need through the process of getting grants and stuff like that. So that
Yeah,
way,
but
maybe we
there-
can finish this project in a shorter amount of time than, because there's 70,000 linear feet minus
Wow.
some of the Woolbrook. So that's a lot.
and-
We only did 3,718.
I know, well, that, I mean, 3,700 is a lot.
It's a lot. But compared to
For a small
77,000.
town, we did a lot.
And we're doing it, which is
And
the
we're
important
doing
thing.
it, so,
But, and we'll also be mindful of building in a little bit more of a contingency too, to be
right,
prepared for things that
I know.
came up.
And we should also reprioritize this based on all factors, which it sounds like we haven't done that quite yet, so that we're actually doing it in the order of our stated prioritization.
Yeah,
What we're talking to the lobbyists about, we're meeting with them tomorrow morning, is focusing on the orange, which does serve, because the important factor is how many people are you serving? And there are several multifamily along there. And it also connects to Ocean Avenue, which takes the subaqueous line into consideration. So that's also in our favor, like trying to build a
So what
compelling
I'm
case
saying
to
is-
give us money.
So what I'm saying is, so orange is orange, orange is red, and red is orange. We should make everything line up so that we're actually doing.
Well, according to the lobbyists, they're saying we should focus on the orange area.
And that's where we can get more money, so we can do it more quickly. So
Correct.
we think we should do that. So that makes it
Yeah.
a higher priority
Yeah.
than what this says, in my mind, it seems like.
So we were
Yeah,
being,
we could change the coloring. Yeah,
we're
Phases.
being compelled to repave part of A1A.
we're not being compelled, we're being mandated.
And
We're being
so,
put in a headlock.
weren't we going to see if there is a overall repaving, if we get a little money back?
We spoke to the
we spoke
state
to the-
and they stated that there's nothing in their 5-year plan, so they were not willing to give any on their requirements.
And we already
But
did,
they won't
right?
commit to
was Done on the Wednesday after our last meeting.
Yeah, it was done, we had to keep us to the schedule and get it done, and it was done.
No, I know it's all
Done.
done.
Yeah. And the DOT has preliminarily approved the site. They have to come back out, I think, on Thursday, so we're just working on the closeout right now. They should not have a comment. Most folks don't even know, I would suspect, that anything was even done on the north end.
No, it was actually very
Well
smooth,
done,
except for the money,
I know,
extra money. It
Just-
was not
just the
very
money.
smooth, but
right. But
it needed to be done, so.
I think it's great that we're moving forward now on another infrastructure project. I mean, we did the stormwater, which was a big feat. You were a part of that, Mayor. And now that's coming to an end. So the next thing is to really take these water mains seriously and let's get them replaced.
Yeah, Terry, that's almost paid off.
That's all I
Okay.
got.
Thank you. Any questions for Lisa? Would anybody like to make a public comment?
I have a question.
Sure.
I thought that the fire hydrant pipes were already replaced in about 1990. So they're a separate system, a separate joint from the main potable water that comes over. They all come from Boynton Beach, right?
Yeah.
So they're not tied together. They're independent of the potable water.
No, it's
No.
the same one, same one.
So I thought that in Harbor Drive that they replaced all of those pipes about 1990.
Yeah, but they just replaced the pipe that went from the hydrant to the main line.
Right, that's.
Yeah, it's the main line, still the old main line,
Yeah.
so yeah,
So those pipes don't need to be replaced.
right, just the main
Those are
line
all
coming down the
service
street.
lines.
Yeah, okay.
The expensive one.
Yeah, we-
How good my memory is?
Yeah, that's good memory. Anyone else for public comments? All right, well, Lisa, thank you so much. Lynn, thank you. And the next starts, when do we start the next one?
Do you want to
Carolyn?
bring up the next
Well-
phase?
Well, the orange,
Yeah,
so the orange will be the one that we're going to be focusing on.
Indeed.
And going to Tallahassee later this month to push for this.
Fantastic. We see, we could just start that on next year, right?
yeah.
Or this year, actually.
Yeah.
Well, we're
Yeah.
actually
If
looking
it's
at that
approved,
for
it's
FY
the budget's
Hold on, the library wants, what happened?
That would be FY '26. The money that we're lobbying the legislature for would come to us in FY '26.
Okay, but with the amount
have
of money
some
we
money,
have in
yeah.
reserves, why wouldn't we just do maybe another section
That is why we still have.
in this year? Because
That's why
why
we still have
stop?
phase 2 that Lisa's getting ready to start designing, as well as phase 3. So phase 3, we're going to the state for funding assistance.
Okay.
Phase 2, which is what's the red, is what we're working on for FY '25.
All right, good. But we are planning on doing something in 2025.
Yes,
Good. No, let's not stop.
yeah, yes.
That is the plan.
What do you think?
That was the whole idea.
Okay.
I'm not 100% clear on red versus orange, but we can talk about that further.
All right, well, thank you. All right, let's move on to Lynn, Town Manager's Report.
The majority of my report is in the packet. December was quite busy. We've got the new permitting software, including the online portal, up and running. There is training tomorrow afternoon for all of the builders, contractors, permit runners, everything like that. Hands-on training with the representative from BSNA to make sure that they are able to get into the system, know how to upload their permits, how to schedule their inspections, everything like that. The online portal also allows the public in general to search for permits that are already in the system historically, and anything that we converted for the last 10 years in IMS, and then moving forward. All other permits, they'll have to go to the Laserfish for, because those are older, they weren't in the database. We've also got the new website with our new web address. I hope people like the look of the new website. It's a big change from the other websites, and I know some of the commissioners are having issues getting into their email. Those are minor issues, but we are moving forward. We've got our .gov domain now. So that's a good thing. And then we had talked about the RFP for audiovisual to make this room video conference and remote participation friendly. I put together a draft and sent it out this morning, used the information that Commissioner Ayala had provided us from his chat GPT, as well as information that I found on the internet from other municipal AV system requests. But one of the things where we're at, we use one company to put all of the AV in here right now. And that's who we've used to service. We've got two options. We can either go forward with putting out the RFP and making sure that they're given the opportunity to bid, or you could choose to do a best acquisition purchasing, which would be to reach out to that company, Force AV, and have them put together their proposal to provide all the services that are outlined in this RFP for the commission to approve. If you don't like it, Commissioner Ayala had asked me if we did get that proposal from them and we thought that that was too expensive, if we could then put it out to RFP. I would let the town attorney respond to those issues.
Before you do that, I have a question on the
Yes.
the permitting. When the public logs into it, can the public look, do we have contractor registration? Can the public check to see if a contractor is registered with the town?
I haven't checked into that yet. I'm thinking that they can, but I have not.
Would that be in our, able to, so in case somebody's, getting a new washing machine or water heater, they could see if somebody actually has license and insurance?
I'm gonna look into it and see, but I'm pretty sure they could. But if not, they can always still contact us and we can let them know.
Okay.
And Lynn or Kelly, does the new system track, kind of by category, time to completion for permits? Because I think it would be great if we could report used to take this long and now it's taking this long because we put in this great new system. I'm sure we don't have the data yet, but I assume the idea when we did it was to speed process.
It definitely will improve efficiency. One of the first steps in doing that is when a permit is uploaded, all the information for a permit is uploaded, staff is notified that it's in there and they review to make sure that all the necessary documents are in there before an invoice is issued to the builder or contractor for what the permit fees would be. So we've already gone through and made sure that we've got all the proper paperwork before they even find out what they would pay for that permit. Whereas previously, they would submit all the paperwork and they would pay the calculation, and then we'd go through and see if all the paperwork was there, communicate back and forth, make sure that we got stuff. Now, they can't move forward with even submitting for us to check that until they've filled in all of the check boxes for that. So if it requires 10 mandatory documents, if they haven't filled in, it uploaded those 10 documents under each of those lines, it will not let them go forward with submitting it to us. So it saves time with them coming in and out. It provides clarity. I know staff has liked that because they see it when it comes in. We've got a little bit of issue we're still working out with the credit card payments and how that is all showing up in the system, but we're moving forward and there will be an increase in efficiency.
I'd like us to track so that we can kind of report a return on the investment we made. I think our residents would appreciate that.
I'll see what we can do.
Okay, Christie?
Under our purchasing code, the overall, theory being that anything over the $25,000 threshold is put out for a competitive bid. So when you think about that theory being that you want to try to encourage different vendors to provide goods and services to the town, the first inclination is to go out for a bid and RFP. So there you generate that competition. If you start with going with just one vendor as a best interest acquisition, there could be a challenge made if you then decide to go to an RFP for a protest based on whether an unfair competitive advantage was given to, say, the original vendor who did on the project. If you end up awarding to them, you could also face, concerns about whether or not the practice was fair and reasonable. So what I would recommend is, if we anticipate this is going to exceed 25,000, is to go ahead and first put it out for an RFP, see what you get. At that point, you may find that you only get one respondent, so it's gonna be awarded in that regard. Or you may find that there were some issues with the RFP that you put out in terms of how you have organized it and what you truly need. There's also opportunities that you may be able to do a cooperative purchase, because I do know that the state has term contracts for AV equipment and contracting services. So there's a variety of ways of doing it, but I think your first inclination should be competitive bidding.
Okay. I think so too.
Yeah, sounds like it works backwards from how it should work, but.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I guess that doesn't.
What's the
surprise me.
risk, by the way, if we did decide to use best vendor?
Well, if you go
Check
through,
on this project, not overall, just on this.
just on this project, if you decided to just go with your current vendor and say, hey, give us a proposal for this is what we want to do, and then you're not crazy about that proposal for whatever reason, and decide to then put it out to bid, but then you decide, oh, wait a minute, that actually was the best proposal, then everybody else who submits a proposal could potentially have a protest for an unfair competition, and they could allege the one you award to knew about the project much longer than they did, had insight into different things that the public and the other respondents did not.
This is like a $25,000 contract, and it seemed to me that just going to these guys would be great. However, if they came back and were putting it to us, we could then.
The question I'm asking is, what's the chance of that happening?
Yeah.
But
I think it's on slim.
But if everybody's watching us at home, who's going to come to the meetings except for Terry?
I'm sure Terry will be.
I have a question. Is that okay?
Come on up.
Going back to the permitting process, once it's working properly, it would be all public record, is that right? So you could look up by address, someone's working on a house next to you, and you want to know the name of the contractor and the scope of the work, that would be something you wouldn't have to hassle with the town clerk about.
It's already
Who gives
available.
you a rolling in the eyes.
That information is already available on the portal.
Yeah.
So as an individual resident, if you want to see if your next door neighbor has a permit for the work that he's doing, you can go in, put in the address, and it'll pull up the list of permits that are.
I'm not talking about repairs or Mickey Mouse stuff, but like a roof or something like
Yeah.
that. And you say, oh, he's doing a good job. You want to know the name of the contractor. Who he is.
Absolutely.
That would be public. Thank you. And the price would be there, right?
Anything that was submitted with it, so it's all public records. It'll be
Yeah, and
in,
there's still post permits at the site.
yes.
Okay.
Thank you. Anything else, Lynn?
Just direction on how we want to move forward with the AV proposal.
Yeah, our FP is really,
I guess we have to go with RFP, it'll slow the process.
that's where we gotta go.
Okay.
Now, I want to bring up this thing with this $2 an hour dispatcher, because I've been asked about it now. This is the second month I've been asked about, or did we approve it or not? Because I mean, I'm looking at where we did approve it.
My understanding is that the police department put it in their draft budget, but the commission did not approve increasing to $2 an hour for the night shift.
No, there's two different items. It's $2 an hour and then another
Increase.
dollar per night.
And a dollar premium for night shift.
I remember.
I remember it too, but
I thought for sure we.
Yeah,
Then we
talked about
asked-
we talked about a night shift premium for the officers as part of their
I
contract.
distinctly remember dispatchers.
I thought we did say-
Dispatchers, it was just $1 for night shift or to go to $2 for night shift. So we had already approved for FY '24, the dollar premium.
Can we ask for the minutes to be located, the audio, that discussion, so we can review it?
Yeah, if you can, Kelly, if you look into that and like just dig down and see exactly what was approved, because I know we approved.
Well, we know. what we-
Dispatches were definitely separate.
Right, but we know now what we wanted to approve. Do we still need to go through this lengthy process of investigating? I remember, I assume, I think it went to a final vote, I'm 90% sure.
Well, is the money in the budget?
I would have to verify whether the money's in the budget or not.
Because if the money's in the budget, we
That
must
changed or
approve.
not.
You know what I'm saying? If the money's there, then we approved it. We wouldn't have approved it. We wouldn't approve the money there if we didn't approve the extra money to put in the budget.
I don't know whether the member of the police department that was doing the budgets made a change to that after the commission discussion or not. I'd have to go back and look in the
Christie,
system.
to Vice Mayor Steve's thought, could we just make a motion to approve it right now and whether it's in there or not? Or we'd have to do a budget amendment.
If it's not.
If it's not in.
We don't know if it's,
Yeah, I think we need more research before we move forward that, because if it's not in there, then we'd have to come back with a formal budget amendment, I believe, unless there's other funds readily available in the account that you would use for that, and then you can come back later with the budget amendment. That I don't know. These are all questions I don't know the answer to.
Okay,
You could certainly make a motion for direction to the manager to move forward with whatever steps are necessary to bring back a budget amendment to include that.
If we didn't already approve it.
and can we make it retroactive to October 1?
oh, yeah, I was presuming it would have to be, but I think by consensus alone, we could say, look into this, could bring it back to us next meeting, and if we don't have it in there, bring back something that is what we're alluding to.
I thought we couldn't do retroactive. I thought I had that conversation with you.
Right. It would have to be once it's approved going forward, if it hasn't been approved already.
So we need to do the research as to whether it was approved. If it was, great. If it wasn't, post haste, we should get it done,
Yeah.
Budget amendment.
which is what we intended, I think.
Yes.
I remember.
All right, so you understand the
I understand.
consensus of the
If
commission?
the desire is to do it so that it's, essentially like it was effective October 1, you could look at the accounting of it and figure out how to make that adjustment.
Okay, and why can't we do retroactive? Is that a state statute?
You don't want to.
Yep, it's like bonuses.
Thank you, Lynn. All right. Christie,
I do not have a report. I'm happy to answer any questions.
any questions for Christie? All right, Chief?
Yes, sir. My report is in your packet. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them. For the month of November, we had 273 traffic stops for that month. The numbers are increasing. Crime is down. Like I said, fraud is up, but everything is running smoothly.
How many dogs?
We've given out, I think, 4 citations in the last 2 months.
Could do more.
What about the police on bikes, Old Ocean?
I've reinstated the bike patrol.
It's actually active?
Yeah, new officer Brett is doing that on the days she works, and she's concentrating on all those and keep bicyclists on one side, walkers on one side, and she's been patrolling throughout the rest of the town in Briny Breezes. That bike hasn't been driven, I mean, in the last 4 years. And,
Was it electric bike or?
No, it's pedal.
Pedal.
Yeah.
Did they ever fix the seat and everything else that was a mess?
I did not get a new seat yet. Yeah.
It's like a torch.
I'm surprised someone has electric.
But I do have, so do you have that photo? I wanted to thank the town. The toy drive, I say this every year, is the biggest, but this year was the biggest. The supply, usually we take 2 carloads of toys through the Guardian Ad Litem program. We had to take 3 carloads. They gave us a big shout out, but the big shout out goes to the public for helping, Officer Deb spearhead that, and you guys showed up in force. That was great. I have another announcement to make. I'm pleased to announce that the Starbucks Civic Collective has made a generous donation to the police department. Council members, you have my memo and Starbucks. This donation was spearheaded by Starbucks President Carol Bester, who's not here tonight, and Janet, the chairperson, Janet Shines, who's here. This donation is for the betterment of the town's safety and is needed to strengthen today's crime fight. As criminals come up with ways to commit crimes, the police department must combat these ways. Starbucks Civic Collective has committed to fully funding 3 live cameras, static cameras in town that are manufactured by Flock Safety, which is already in line with our LPR system. It's the same system that we just tie together. And an unmanned drone manufactured by Skydio, which is part of Axon Enterprise, who does our body cam. The drone would help search for subjects for missing persons, as well as provide aerial mapping for the town pre and post hurricane surveying, for lost, swimmers, and anybody. I'd like to get 1 operator on each team, because it's only as good as we can get that aerial drone up. The total package was $44,129. That's the donation. So with your approval and consensus, I will accept the donation from Starbucks Civic Collective to the Department of Public Safety.
Wow, that's very generous.
That's
Thank you
really
so
good.
much.
Thank you.
I just hope nobody, when you're flying a drone, they don't call you for 911 UFOs or
Yeah, we are.
something. We're gonna start.
Chief, are there any budget implications in terms of training or additional staffing that we need to actually watch?
Training, no. I have my old agency is going to come and train. They have 4 drones in operation right now, and they said they would come and do the training. The officers that are going to be operators have to be commercial, FAA commercial drone pilots, which they would go to Atlanta Airport and take the test and get a license.
Okay.
Well, I'll start, I have to say, the second, third time of these donations have really,
And the drone is thermal.
really helped us. Really appreciate it.
That's good.
Can it count dogs on the beach?
That's why I said it's you can't use it.
There's a lot of them on the beach still.
All right, so do you need a motion? We need a motion, right, Christie, to accept the donation?
Just consensus is fine.
The consensus? Everybody accept the donation?
Yep.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
That's really. Thank you, Chief. Commissioner Cassidy.
Okay, so there are 2 things I want to talk about as a group if we want to have planning and zoning take a closer look. One, there was a demolition project going on Sailfish Drive right before and after Christmas. And numerous complaints came in about working on Christmas Eve. And I know that they were shut down. The contractor wasn't properly registered with the town. But I wonder if we could have planning and zoning look at a code amendment to restrict construction or demolition demolition activity on the eves of holidays, like Christmas and New Year's.
Great idea.
No, we don't have that, actually.
No, I mean,
Yeah, because we did it for Saturdays. Why, I don't know why we didn't do
Right.
it for,
We did it for the holidays, but we didn't do it for the eve.
yeah, but Christmas Eve, you have people in town, everybody's at your house for
There's
dinner.
only really
Next
two.
thing you know, your saw and wood get cut.
It's really only 2 eves. It would be
Christmas and New Year's, but this year in particular, they were in the middle of the week and people just working all week. And it was disruptive.
A third one would potentially be Thanksgiving.
So I guess we should direct Lynn to write up something, bring it back to us the next meeting about restricting construction work on Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve?
Okay, so we don't have to do planning and
Yeah,
zoning, just we
I
can
don't-
just.
No, I don't
okay,
think we need to plan it.
Okay. So,
Mr. Mayor, if we're gonna, because all of our construction regulations specific to the town are within our land development code. So if we're gonna make a text amendment to our land development code, it will have to go to PNC first.
It's right here.
Okay.
You got that?
okay. The other issue, and you may have read about it in the Coastal Star this month, Gulfstream created an ad hoc committee to study the issue of massing in the core district. And I know we did discuss one of the things that we wanted planning and zoning to look at was maybe relaxing restrictions on rear setbacks for single-story homes. But this committee presented their recommendations to the ARPB in November. They created an overlay and basically trying to incentivize people to build a single story versus a 2-story by allowing a modest increase in the FAR, which would result in, a few hundred square feet up to a maximum of 600 square feet, and counting all unenclosed areas at 70% instead of 100%. And they're reducing the front setback from 30 feet to 25 feet. So I don't know I think it might be a nice idea for planning and zoning to look at what Gulfstream did to see if something like similar would make sense here.
Well, I believe we did send something to planning and zoning in our list. And it was regarding 1-story houses and increasing the FAR and reducing the rear setback. But the key to it, though, is the deed restriction.
Right.
Because that is the key.
And it
Because,
has to go
you
with-
give somebody all these bonuses and then, 2 years later, sell the house and somebody builds a 2-story house over top of that big house we just let somebody build that was 1 story is a problem. So the deed restriction is the key to doing that. And yes, planning and zoning would be great if you guys could. Well, how far down on the list are you?
Oh, we've tackled about 3 to 4 items, I think. Well, we really got through them then.
Yeah, because we've been approving it, everyone that comes back.
But in going to the planning and zoning meetings, listening to plan review, it is a common sentiment that, well, it looks really big, it's massive, but it's allowed.
Right.
So there are reservations with that, so.
And we haven't seen the Gulfstream report yet, so you and I talked about you were going there that day.
Yeah.
We're happy to look, we should look at it.
Great.
And they did approve it, so the ARPB approved it on the spot, and then the commission also subsequently approved it. So on December 13th, they declared zoning in progress, and they stopped building permits from being issued while they enact the changes.
All right. Anything else? Well, thank you, everyone. That was a relatively short meeting for the first one in January. First one of 2025. I really appreciate you coming. Thanks again for that beautiful donation and all the comments. Meeting adjourned.